restring this roll-off here. The cable is bad, and it's all bunched up. The one strand broke, and then it's all bunched up in there. I haven't strung a roll-off for probably over 10 years. I helped do one on a truck that I used to drive for these guys. I don't know, a decade ago. And they always said it's easy, you just pull the old one out and string the new one through. But I knew even back then there was an easier way because it's a cable. And so I came up with a way of doing it before. They let me do it before and it worked. And when this one needed to be done, I told my boss, and he's like, nah. So he's not here. He said I could do it my way if I wanted. So I'm gonna try and do it my way, show you how I do it. And it makes it super simple. Almost one guy could do it. But you're gonna need like a cutting disc or a chop saw of some kind and a welder. I'm gonna suck the cylinders all the way in. The cable that's on this truck had a really long tail on it, and it would cause it sometimes to like fall off the hook on the back a little bit, off the bumper, and then it would drag on the ground. I'll give you guys a shot of this cable here so you can see what I'm talking about. But I don't like that long of a tail on a roll-off. I like a pretty short one. If you're not right up against the tank with the cable system, most of the time it's gonna hop off in one direction or the other. You gotta kind of be right where you want it when you start. So I'll show you this old one. I'll show you the rat's nest that we got by waiting to replace this one, and then I'll get started and put it in a time lapse so you guys don't have to sit there and listen to me breathe. So let me give you a shot of this cable here. You can see here, when the cylinders are sucked all the way in and this cable's pulled all the way out, it would come down like this all the way to the ground and then hook in that way. So what I did is I started leaving it shorter and then hooking it in this way, and I don't have a problem with it ever coming off. So I don't really want that long of a tail. But let me show you this. That one strand broke about a week and a half ago. We had to wait to get the cable, so this is the mess we got in here. So just to give you an idea of what I plan on doing, I'm gonna take a chop saw and I'm actually gonna cut right here on the other side of the brake. I'm gonna cut here. I'm gonna cut out the mess up there, and then I'm gonna weld the tail end of the new cable to this end right here, just butt weld it right together. And then I'm either gonna use Dad's pickup or anchor this to something with a chain, and I'll pull it out, and what it'll do is it'll pull that. Actually, you don't pull on this, you weld the new end to here, but what you would do then, your dead horse here, your tail, and you do your chain wrap around that to something that's sturdy. We had a loader last time, a payloader, but I don't know, I might use Dad's pickup or something. But you wrap your chain around the tail, and then you just pull it out, and as it comes out, it pulls through, and then it pulls the new cable all the way through. You just have to keep an eye so you can make sure you stop right where you want it. But see, you can see here, I got the cylinder still out a little bit just because I don't like all that extra slack in the tail. So here's the new one. I'm gonna put a hose clamp here, keep all this tight, and I'm gonna put a hose clamp on the end where the knot is before I cut the knot off. I call this the knot, and I don't know what the actual term is. And then you have to remember to put the loop ring on before you weld it all together and pull it through. Otherwise, you're gonna have to pull it all the way back out, cut it, put the loop on, then do it again. So, drivers, what do you call this? I call it the loop. I don't know. It's probably got some Latin or German term, or I don't know what you call it. The Wrangler. I don't. It's probably got some easy name that I don't know. I've always just called it the loop. But yeah, I'm gonna cut the knot. I'm gonna cut behind the knot, but I'm actually gonna cut it up here, and then I'll weld that end I just showed you right here. And then when it's all pulled through, then you just take your chop saw and cut it on the new side of the cable. So we'll see how this goes. so here you have it. I'm gonna use this rear load as an anchor. This chain is ran up to the dead horse. And then I have the end of the old cable welded to the new cable. What I'm gonna do is cut this holding cable, and hopefully that'll just kind of unspool as I drive forward. I normally have 2 guys or 3 guys doing this, fishing the loop down. But it's just me today, so I'm gonna drive forward a little bit, get out, check everything, and I'll probably do that like 10 times. So here's that chain wrapped around and back through itself. That'll tighten up. The biggest problem I see is right there. This right here. It's gonna have to fish itself around here as I drive forward. And we had a payloader last time, so you could kind of move the bucket up and down, turn the loader tires back and forth and wiggle it. And this is really one-dimensional, but we'll give her a shot here. So I had a good pull on it, and then I stopped. I was gonna adjust the camera a bit for you guys, and then the chain slipped off. So we gotta rewrap the chain. So you can see I got a really good bite on that cable. It's actually starting to pull through. You can see that right there. That's where the cable used to bend over. So let's send her through and see what happens. I think it'll go just fine. The weld's about to go through the big pulley. I'm a little bit worried about that, but I think it'll be all right. The cable and the chain started kind of dancing, and I think that's what loosened up the chain wrap. So let's watch that weld there go through here. See how it goes. Went through the weld okay. Let's watch it go through. Let's watch the cable go through this pin right here. That's kind of my biggest concern. The hardest part is that the way the sun is shining and the back window is kind of dirty, and I can't see into the shop, so I'm having to go really slow and double and triple check just because I can't see and I don't want to wreck anything. Okay, so I'm gonna finish you up with a different view. I gotta get kicked in the pants here. This is actually gonna work. But you see the hung up here. So I just gotta keep an eye on it, which I can see that. But yeah, it's going really well. I've been doing this all by myself. When you do string it through, a lot of times it takes two guys. So I gotta get going. The door's open. It's cold in here. But yeah, you could see there it did fish through that pin just fine. Okay, it's pulling through just fine. It was actually really cool. At the back of the cab, you can see the cable going across. You could actually see the weld go through that front viewing window, and it's actually pretty sweet looking. So let me set you up on the fender, get you a little better view. Let's get this cable pulled through so we can get that door shut. There you can see it's all new cable throughout the whole system. That's about where the tail was before, but I still have a really long rat tail there, so I'm going to drive forward another 5 or so feet. All right, let's see what kind of a tail we got. That's almost perfect actually right there. I maybe could pull it back out a little more. I can do all that in the shop. But yeah, so what I gotta do is back up so I can release this cable and then get back in the shop. Maybe I just cut that really quick. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna cut it right by the weld. I was gonna cut the knot so I can get back inside, but I think I'm just gonna unhook the cable and pull it off to the side. Okay, so I just shut the door most of the way. Sometimes when you're in a hurry, like in a big hurry to get that door shut, sometimes when you're in a hurry like that, you don't make the best decision. And so I got it mostly shut. The cable's not gonna hurt. Actually, I can put the truck back in its bay. I only needed it on this side so that I could hook to the back of that truck there to drive forward. I don't think my dad's pickup would have had enough ass to hold that cable, and so I just used that. And so what I'm gonna do is go out, I'm gonna put a hose clamp on the cable, and then I'm gonna cut it, and then I'll drive the truck around and put it in its stall, and then I'll pull this old crap cable out and shut the door the rest of the way. So that's not the backup alarm. Anytime the hoist is up, it's got that rattly kind of alarm just to let you know that the hoist is up. Okay. As you can see, those cables, they get under a little bit of pressure. You gotta be careful. Let's get this mess out of the way. Make sure nothing's dragging on the ground. Yeah, so that'll be fine for 5 minutes to drive around. Should be good to go. So when I took this off, this piece here was on top of the remainder of the tail, or they call this the dead horse. And the reason they call it a dead horse is so you can remind yourself that you never saddle a dead horse. So that's how you know it actually is supposed to go like this, and you suck your dead horse down into your live line. And I thought that was the case, but when I took it off and it was like this, it kind of threw me, and I was like, well, I don't know. So I called my crane operator buddy, Kyle, just to confirm it with him. I said, this piece is the saddle, right? He said, yeah. I said, and the dead horse is the extra, you know, the extra, yeah. So Kyle confirmed, you know, and I wanted to consort with the crane operators because this is like a part of their daily inspection. This is something that they would have to look for. And also, speaking of cranes, on a crane, the part of the cable that goes back up to the boom right here, it's actually called a becket. And I don't know, this would be kind of like the same thing as a becket, but I think I'm just going to call it a loop. But maybe I'll start calling it a becket just to throw people. I don't know. It's the loop becket. Anyhow, Kyle, thanks for the help. Okay, so I got the cable clamps on. I got the new cable in. You see this loop here is not very tight. Normally you have one guy squeeze down on that with channel locks, and then you just slowly slide this forward. But being it's just me, I don't really have that option, and there's a lot of slack between the cable ties. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put the truck back over on the other side, hook onto the back of that rear load again, and then put a bunch of pressure on it. It should straighten that out, and then I'll probably take off like the third clamp and then try and get it up here again, and then I'll just walk the clamps just to make sure everything's tight. Okay, so instead of driving forward, what I can do is actually run the hoist out. So I'm going to run the hoist out, and you can see watch that loop tighten up. Just got to be careful because I'm pulling on that lock there, and I don't want to damage it. But watch that loop get tight. So now that I got that loop tight, I'm going to take off. You can see the slack in here. I'm going to take the back one off, or take this third one off. I'm going to move it up here as far as I can, and then tighten that, and then I'll leapfrog. I'll do like this one next, and then that one last, and that way it'll be as tight as it can be. I know you could probably get it tighter in here, but I don't know, it should be good. So let's do that real quick. I want to see what happens when I loosen that up. I think that one of these is strong enough when it's empty, depending on how much pressure. So let's see, let's make this quick. So this is what's left of that rat's nest. Every time I cut it, it would like unspring, and for a while there I didn't have to move it, just kept springing out and I'd cut it. So I suppose you should be careful with stuff like that, especially you probably got sharp ends from the cut. But I lost no blood, no bruises, a little bit of pride when the chain kept slipping off, but that's okay. I'll survive that. Well, let's look at this cable. I'll show you. She's all strung. I have more slack than that. I'll show you what I got left on the cylinders. I got like about that much left, which is not going to amount to much. Probably like 2 or 3 feet back here. But some of the tanks, like there's like a doghouse that the hook's back in, you need a little bit extra. I'm happy with this amount. I'd rather have a little extra and then be able to pull the cylinders in. Oh, it's a magnetic USB. I wonder what's on that. Anyways, I got to load up a tank to sit inside this weekend, thaw out. So I'm going to go load one up, but I'd let you see. I think it turned out okay. So let's go load up that tank and let it sit inside for the weekend and test out this cable I put in. Okay, so I was afraid of this. It's just something that happens when you string a new cable. I'm not sure if you measured or did something like that, it wouldn't happen, but basically I'm out of cylinder. I'm out of cylinder, and I'm not all the way up. So I'm gonna take this tank off, go through the whole rigmarole, shorten it up a couple of feet, and then tighten everything back down. Yeah, it's only 3:20. I don't know, I can stay as late as I want. I'm gonna just do it right. I'm gonna kick this tank off, fix it, and then put this tank back on. It's kind of humbling. I'm not an expert at any of this. The only kind of flavor I put on this job was welding the ends together and pulling on the tail. I might have to do that right now, actually. I'll just have to wrap a chain around that tail to pull the foot out. But I'm going to try to leave the clamps and just loosen them up. That way I don't have to go through that whole mess again. But let me kick this one off, and then we'll go tighten it up and try again. So, I'm not perfect. Everybody, you know, I'm sure there's like a scientific engineered way to do this so that that doesn't happen. You measure stuff out. When we ordered this cable, you should just be able to give them the serial number off the hoist and they send you the right length, but I don't know, they said they lost some records or what have you. So let's unload this and fix it. Do it the right way. Well, I don't know, that's quite a bit of slack, but I've seen worse. I don't know. Apparently I haven't, because otherwise this wouldn't happen. But let's get this off of here and go fix it. So you can see here with the cylinders all the way out. And that would be a little bit longer, but there's the weight of the cables is probably shortening it up a little bit, but really you want that almost all the way up when your cylinders are all the way out. So that's why this didn't work. But all I have to do, loosen up these cable clamps and pull a little slack out of it. I may have to do that Monday. It looks like the boss is back, so we'll see. nice and tight. There you have it. Cable's good and ready to go. Put her inside so she can thaw out this weekend. Just watch the top.